Broncos country, it's Orange and Blue View. We have returned for another pregame show because we are a day away from not just real football, but football that counts. And so we're going to talk about some key matchups. We're going to talk about players to watch, all sorts of things today. But first, just want to say, make sure you say hello to my co-host, Ron White, sitting in the chair next to me, kind of. And we're here to chat about football. Finally, real football is here. So we're excited. Ron, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Thomas. And like you said, it is officially game week. So I am very excited. And I am looking forward to being with all of you to discuss projections, key players to watch, some specific matchups, score predictions. It's going to be a great show. And, just like everyone else, looking forward to this Broncos beatdown tomorrow evening. So it's going to be great and exciting.
Let's hope. I mean, I'm for one, I'm looking for a different attitude, a different mentality, and a different football altogether than what we've been seeing the last few years. So that's what I'm really hoping for. And at home, first game of the season against their rivals, the Raiders, you hope that they would come out victorious, especially since, the Raiders are kind of reeling right now with a little bit of, internal controversy, so to speak, going on with Chandler Jones.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows what's going to, any given Sunday for sure. But I really want to see what this team is made of for real, right? Like they went through the preseason. It was good, but I want to see what they're made of. And I think there's some key things that we can jump into tonight to talk about what to look for tomorrow. So we've got quite a few things that we've bantered back and forth on this week to kind of lay that out. The biggest thing to me right now is Patrick Surtain's ended up on the injury report on Friday. He looks like he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
They called up a couple receivers. That probably means that Jerry Jeudy's not going to play this week, but we were kind of expecting that. So I actually thought if Jerry Jeudy was back, it would be way earlier than I anticipated. So there's a few things that are going on. They're kind of surprising at the end, but we'll go through the injury report. We're going to go through players to watch for sure. We're going to do a little bit of stat predictions, things like that. So it's going to be fun. But before we do jump into that, just say hello to Dylan Von Arks, our own Mile High Huddle staffer coming in. Thank you for being here, Dylan. We really appreciate you being here in the chat, saying sup Broncos. Make sure you hit that like button on the way in, share on all platforms, and subscribe if you haven't already. And also, don't forget, go check out our roundtable predictions. We all did a prediction for the game. We're going to be doing that every week, just like we're going to be doing this show every week when there's a game on Sunday. If it's on Thursday, obviously we're not going to be able to do it. Monday, not as either, but make sure you check those out because that's there's a lot of great articles out there. So go check it out. Yes. And Kevin Gray's in here already, early, ready to go. I'm glad you're here, Kevin. We really appreciate you being here. I know that you're a dedicated watcher of the show, so we appreciate it. Kevin says, hello, Thomas and Ron, and big Mile High salute to Broncos country. Denver Broncos for life, Mile High Huddle for life. Thank you for being here, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
Saturday, you got college football on. It's going to be, it's tough to get away from the TV to, watching college football is fun. And thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. And William Contalano, another watcher of the show that's here quite often, almost every, I think you're here almost every show. So thank you so much. And he says, well, if the Broncos are a dud this season, you Colorado fans have the Buffaloes to root for. That's for sure. Yeah. Big shout out to another big win by the Colorado Buffaloes. Man, they really turned that around. Prime's really got that team rolling, and we can only hope that Sean Payton does the same thing for the Broncos. So let's hope.
Yes, definitely. And thank you, William, for coming in with that comment. It's so nice to see, how coaching matters, Thomas.
Yeah.
And you can see in these first two games with the Buffs how, it's a testament to the coaching kind of forming the team and the identity of the team. These players have come in, they are listening to Prime speak and coach, and they're believing in his philosophy. And just to see it being executed on the field It's just such a great thing to watch. And we're hoping the same thing happens with the Denver Broncos with Sean Payton. And, we saw a lot, in the offseason and training camp, and we just hope it trickles down to regular season play. But it's just such a great thing to watch.
Yep, absolutely. We got the real Travis Scott coming in saying football is back, baby. Yes. Absolutely. Thank you for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. We've got Daniel Berry Sports Highlights coming in saying, yo, I think he's excited too, as we all are for sure. We got Michael Davis coming in. NFL Week 1 equals draft day equals Christmas. Go Broncos. Yeah, those are always, man, it is Week 1 in football. I think I said this on Mile High Insider. It's like Christmas. It's finally back. It's finally here, and I'm excited. It took me a while to get excited, Ron. I'm going to tell you. I didn't want summer to be gone. I love summer, and I just wanted to stick around. But now that it's here, I'm very excited, and very excited to see the Chiefs lose in Week 1. Which is awesome. Yes. And we got Albert Knoppers coming. Thank you, Albert, for being here, saying howdy, guys. Are you all excited to see a victory tomorrow? Absolutely. Sure. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited to see a different brand of football. That's what I want to see, and I hope to see it. Got Ernie Mays coming in saying, hello, Thomas and Ron. Go Broncos country only. Of course, as only Ernie says, right? He's the only one that says it. Go Broncos country only, and the Raiders suck. So thank you for being here, Ernie. Really appreciate that.
Thanks, Ernie.
Dominic Martin's coming in. Also, we got a packed house in here today. This is awesome. Saying, hey, Tom and Ron, mile high salute to my Broncos family. Orange and blue view rocks. Well, thank you very much for that. Really appreciate that. And again, you can look forward to these pre-games almost every weekend. It's going to be fun. Mile High Huddle for life, and go Denver. And then we got to give a special shout out to Phil McLaughlin coming in with Facebook stars 56 weeks in a row. I think it is that he's coming in to support a Mile High Huddle show. So we appreciate that you're here supporting us. So thank you very much. It says, good evening, Thomas and Ron. What matchups are you looking forward to watching? Buckham, Mile High Huddle for life. So Ron, that's a great lead in. So why don't you give the listeners and me, of course, I know that you sent it to me. What's your first key matchup that you want to talk about?
Yes, again, Phil, thank you for coming in time and time again with your generosity and your comments and your questions. We appreciate you. And this is a great question. So I'm going to start with the marquee matchup. And I think we all know what we're talking about. PS2 versus Davante Adams. I'm going to start from the top rope. So I want to see, well, first of all, before I get into the matchup itself, I want to see what Vance Joseph deploys here. Is it going to be, I think we all expect Patrick Surtain to follow Davante, if not all of the game, most of the game, but I want to see that dynamic play out because we did know in the Week 4 matchup last year, Surtain did shadow Davante, I believe, 25 out of the 35 times. So that was about 71% shadow rate. So that allowed Adams to have 8 targets, 4 receptions, 46 yards, and 5 tight window targets in that Week 4 matchup. But it was a different story in the Week 11 matchup where Adams kind of went crazy. Had 141 yards on 7 catches and those 2 touchdowns. So I want to see, the competitiveness between those two. I want to see, how Surtain, switches and uses his hips to, do those pass breakups. If he can stop or at least kind of go toe to toe with Davante and some at the top of those routes. I just want to see how that dynamic plays out and what's the result going to be. I would hope, it would favor something similar to the Week 4 matchup from last year where he can contain Adams. I think we're all okay with some of the other receivers, kind of playing well. But if you can contain one of the NFL's best receivers, I think that'll be a sign that, the Broncos can win this game. So, again, just that back and forth matchup between the two, I'm really looking forward to seeing, Phil.
Yeah. I mean, that's a key matchup, obviously. I mean, Surtain's going to shut down their number one receiver all year, hopefully. That's what we're looking for. I agree with you. That's going to be a marquee matchup, and everybody's probably talking about it, the revenge game and all that. But I'm going to go to the other side of the field, Ron. I'm going to talk about Damari Mathis. Damari Mathis has a chance to really impact this game. if he can do that, I mean, because we know Patrick Surtain and Devontae Adams is going to be a battle, right? Nothing's going to be easy over there. But if you look at last season, towards the end of the season, and I know they have a different quarterback now, and this is a different year. But we have to look somewhere. We have to start somewhere, right? This is game one. They still have the same offensive scheme. The Raiders do, because still the same coach, similar players. But I'm going with Damari Mathis versus Jacoby Myers, and the reason why I say that is because their offense, the Raiders' offense, liked to throw those short passes to the left last year. Towards the end of the year, they were completing about 70% of those passes going out to that area, but they were vulnerable too. They threw 3 interceptions last year. Now, again, different quarterback. We'll see what happens this year. But I'm really, because Jacoby Myers isn't one of those, Devontae Adams type. He's a solid receiver. Don't get me wrong. And he's one of those chain mover types, not a huge route tree that he has. And if Damari Mathis can match up with him, because my guess is they're going to try to avoid Surtain as much as they can, unless they have optimal opportunities, right? So that puts the onus and the pressure on Damari to step up. If he can step up and shut down Jacoby Myers and make those impact plays when it matters, like get an interception or something like that, that's going to be huge. But if he can't, then they're going to be able to move the chains, and that's going to hurt the Broncos in the passing game. So if they can shut down, obviously Josh Jacobs, everybody knows they need to shut them down. But if they can move the chains with short passes to Jacoby Myers, that's going to make for a long day for the Broncos. But if Damari Mathis can step up, like we all hope he will, because it's the second year, he looks like he's going to step up, then I think we've got something. And that's I think the Raiders will, if they can't move the ball with those short passes over there to that area, they're going to be hurting all night or all day. So that's my first one.
And that's a good one, Thomas. I think, like you said, everyone's talking about PS2 and Adams, the 2 of the league's best. But, we have to also focus on some of those other tiers as well. And we know, what Damari Mathis represented last year. Obviously, he had his struggles early on as a rookie, but he really turned it around. Yep. So I think he can definitely contain Myers. You're right. Jacoby Myers isn't one of those all-world breakout receivers, but I think he can definitely hold his own against it. But it'll be interesting to watch. So that's a very good matchup as well.
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna say hi to Michael Ronquillo, of course, coming in. He's he's always here. We love to see you coming in, Michael, supporting us with Facebook Stars. So we really appreciate that, Michael. He says, "Good evening, Thomas and Ron on Orange and Blue View. Go Broncos and Buck 'em." Thank you for being here, Michael. Really appreciate it. And I can't wait to watch this game. I know you're going to be watching it from Arizona, checking it out. So hopefully it's a great one. So yes. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited. Greg Smith saying, Ron, great matchup choice. So you hit it. Ron, Greg likes what you're talking about, Ron.
Thank you.
We also have Tim Durr coming in saying, happy weekend, fellows. Go Broncos, beat the Raiders, and buck the Raiders. All right. Nice.
Nice one.
And I'm trying to keep up with these chats. We got a lot of people in here today. So if I apologize if I miss it.
And I want to
miss your chat. Again, we're here without someone working the chat in the background. So I'm trying to keep up. Ron's trying to keep up. So we miss it. We're really sorry. But we're going to try. Pearl Heater coming in saying hi. Hello, Pearl Heater. It's nice to see you in the chat. And we got Clayton Huron coming in as well. Clayton, thanks for being here as always. This was a long one, so it's going to take me a minute to read. Clayton Huron says, evening, guys. Smash that like button and share, guys. Man, PS2, totally going to have to shut down Adams. Straight up man-to-man, bring down the safeties and blitz our linebackers all night, baby. Mm-hmm. Then ground and pound, baby, play action, and let Russ use his legs to get about 25 rushing yards or 28. So yeah, Clayton, thank you for that. And that's interesting, right? Everybody's expecting that the Broncos are going to focus on the run, right? We saw them get a bunch of offensive linemen, right, that are going to come in that focus on the run. They went out and got Perrine, Javonte Williams back. Mm-hmm. But and I'm going to go with my second one here, and I'm sorry to jump ahead of you. I know you were first last time, but it kind of leads into, I actually think the Raiders are more vulnerable to the short passing game than they are necessarily with the run game. They had a pretty stout run defense last year. It wasn't the best in the league or anything, but they're pretty stout. In fact, on first down, they were allowed about 4 yards per carry. I mean, that's around the average. That's not a big deal. That happens. But on first down in the short passing game, at the end of the season last year, they were giving up about a little over 7 yards per completion. So if the Broncos can be efficient, have a high completion percentage on those passes early on the early down, you might see that they will actually move the ball, set themselves up for a better second down and third down where they can even run it by doing that that actual first down pass. And I just have this feeling that they're going to focus on the run after first down a little bit more than people expect. But I could definitely be wrong. But when I go back and I look at the play-by-play stats and I analyze it and I look through it, they're vulnerable. They were vulnerable at the end of last year. So I'm going to carry that forward and say they could be vulnerable again. And the Broncos, and I'm going to tell you, out there at camp, the Broncos were doing that first read, quick passing type passing game. And that's why I think they might focus on it a little bit more. I know they want to run the ball, but that's advantageous to do that. That's 7 yards. That would put them at 2nd and 3 if the average continues to hold out, if they complete those, high completion percentage passes.
Yeah, that's a good point, Thomas. And I think, and this gets into one of my players to watch, but you're right, kind of the pass to set up the run, if you will. But again, we're talking the quick out, the quick passes,
right?
To set up those short yardage situations. And I agree. I can definitely see, quick passes out there to Sutton, Johnson, even some of the tight ends. And then on, that brings up 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and that's Pookie time. That's some RJP run time. So that's definitely a good point. And I want to thank you, Connor. We see you here. Thank you, Connor, for coming in with the super chat. We appreciate you, my man. Thank you. If you have a comment, please drop in the chat. We appreciate you.
I see the support. I don't see a comment from him, so I just want to give you a shout out, Connor.
Yes.
Thank you for the support. Really, really appreciate it. But throw a chat in there. I'll see if I can find it and bring it up. Comment. So, here it is. Sorry, here it is. Connor says, "Oops, I meant to write a question. What's your score prediction?" We're going to get to that. We do have score prediction already, but we are definitely going to get that. Yes. So hold tight. Watch. We'll bring that up. We'll also do a stat prediction. So we're going to bring this every Saturday before we're doing the pregame show. So we're going to do stat predictions, game predictions, but we want to give you a little more in-depth information for what you can watch for. And we really hope that we bring you accurate information when we look at this stuff. So wait for just a little bit. We will do that towards the end of the show.
Yes.
Michael Davis is coming in with a super chat. Thank you for the support, Michael. Really appreciate it. And I love this comment, gents. He says, "Crazy we've endured incompetent football for 7 years. Wow. Looking forward to the small things, clock management, penalties, 4-minute offense, creating turnovers." I love the 4-minute offense. I think that the Broncos brought those big guys in, and Perrine and obviously Williams back specifically, obviously to run the ball, but that 4-minute offense, when they're ahead and they need to grind down the clock, that's when they're going to shine. So I love this comment, Michael. Thank you. And thank you for the support. That's perfect.
Yes. Thank you, Michael, for coming in. And I think we're all looking forward to just competent coaching. We saw it in the preseason. We saw a mastermind like Sean Payton at work. So to see that, trickle into the regular season and to get that at Mile High again, I think it's just going to be great. Hopefully there's a reduction in the number of penalties, and we already know the clock management situation is going to be great. But you mentioned those last two are very important. That 4-minute offense is going to be crucial. And then the clutch, the creating the fumbles and the interceptions and turnovers. We want to see that from this Vance Joseph-led defense. So, it may not be all that obviously for the first game, but just, that's something we can look forward to as the season progresses. So I think we're all right there with you, kind of looking at all this kind of in its totality. Great comment.
And from a personal perspective, man, I love the 4-minute offense. I love to watch the team that I love just impose their will, and they haven't been able to do that. Just grind it out, show them, just run it down their throat when they know it's coming. There's nothing better than that. Obviously the win is better, but to watch the offensive linemen, the running backs just impose their will on the defense, it brings back the olden days, when they could really run the ball back in the day. So thank you, Michael. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Rick Frazier's coming in saying, finally caught these live. Hello and go Broncos. Let's get her done. At first dub. Well, thanks for catching us live, Rick. Really appreciate it coming in from Facebook. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick, for coming in. And I want to grab a comment here, Thomas, from Mike Ronquillo. Thank you, Mike, because this actually is my exact matchup that I want to talk about. Thank you, Mike, coming in. He says, Max Crosby versus Mike McGlinchey matchup. Yes, this is number 2 on my list. I'm looking forward to this one, Michael, because we all know what Crosby has been to the Broncos over these past few matchups. So Crosby has a total of almost, I think, a little over 11 sacks against the Broncos and has helped to hold the Broncos under 100 yards rushing. In the stint with the 49ers, I think it was last season, McGlinchey did face Crosby once in that matchup. And I think McGlinchey can get the best of Crosby. I think McGlinchey can definitely hold his own, because what makes Crosby so good is his ability to bend, twist, stunt with a lot of his tackles and his moves. So with the power of McGlinchey, that should be able to kind of contain Crosby, so we can get through. McGlinchey also, as we know, is very stout in the run game, which was on display for the 49ers. So having an upgrade at right tackle from the jump should be able to help contain Crosby. Obviously, there's no Chandler Jones on the other side, so we really kind of have to mostly worry about Crosby coming up. And I think with McGlinchey's power, that should be able to somewhat neutralize, that pass rush coming in. But that's a great matchup to discuss.
Yeah, and that was my player to watch, was McGlinchey. They paid a lot of money to bring him in. He has to hold up. And if he can hold up against Max Crosby one-on-one, that's amazing. But if they can help chip him or whatever, great. But yeah, he's a player to watch because we haven't really seen much of him, right? He was injured. He missed some time in camp. We haven't seen much of him. We haven't seen the whole O-line together, really. So I think it's a great matchup. But I also think that short passing game will help McGlinchey a lot. If they can do those quick passes, that will help to, stunt that pass rush. If they're dropping back 7-step drop, throwing the deep bomb all the time, that's just going to help Max Crosby tremendously to get to the quarterback. So, but yeah, he's one of my players to watch. So, thank you, Michael, for that. I'm going to grab my final kind of key to the game, so to speak. And I know we're all talking about, got to stop Josh Jacobs. Obviously, you have to. But specifically for that, the Broncos have to stop him on the edges, because the Raiders were really good last year running the ball up the middle and all that, but they were particularly good on the edges. They were going about a yard better than the NFL average running around the edge of the defense. And if Cooper and Gregory can set that edge, that's going to impact their ability to get those big gains right away. And that's going to be huge. So obviously they have to stop him in the middle and everything else, but particularly on the edge, because the Broncos had trouble sometimes when they were losing the edge rushers through attrition, injury, and things like that. They had trouble setting the edge. So Gregory obviously is a good player if he can stay healthy. Can do it, but Cooper has really impressed me. He went from a 4th or 5th edge guy to the starter, and if he can set the edge, like I'm hoping he can, that will make it more difficult for them to run.
Yep, that's a good point. That's a very good point. I can't disagree with that. Setting that edge on the short, because I know Josh Jacobs, he definitely run on hill, go from right to left. So yeah, help setting that edge would definitely be helpful as well. For the Broncos.
And we got Michaela coming in. I just want to say hi, saying good evening, Broncos country. It's rivalry weekend. See, you took down Nebraska. Now it's the Broncos' turn. Absolutely, for sure. Thank you so much. So you want to jump on your final one, or did you grab that already? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the other, I guess, marquee matchup is Austin Hooper against the Broncos linebackers, strong safeties. The Broncos have, that's been their bugaboo of trying to stop a tight end. So with Vance Joseph, how does he try to neutralize Austin Hooper? We do have, and this gets into my player to watch, which is Drew Sanders. I think a lot of you guys know that's kind of one of my favorite draft picks. So that can help, kind of neutralize Hooper, but in situations where there are pressure packages with Drew Sanders, right? Who will be that person to step up and help stop? Coming from the strong safety side or the linebacking core. So I'm curious to see what Vance Joseph does and kind of what his game plan is as it pertains to the tight end, because in this division, and again, I'm not only talking about the Raiders game, but in this division, even with Kelsey, I'm curious to see how that matchup is going to work down the road.
Sure. And they've struggled forever, it seems like, against tight ends. So that's a great one to talk about. I'm going to shout out Lawrence here, coming in with Facebook stars. Thank you, Lawrence, for being here tonight. Thank you for the support. Says, what up, guys? I can't wait to see if Prime follows his sons to the NFL. Man, this would be something. It would. I can't remember if he said he wouldn't do it or not. There was something about that. So who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I mean, the people, if he has success at Colorado, there's going to be NFL teams that are willing to part with the big money to bring him in to the NFL. And at some point, money talks, right? You can say, I don't ever want to go to the NFL, but you get paid enough, you end up going there. Yep. So but it'll be interesting. And Phil's coming in with Facebook stars. Thank you so much, Phil. Appreciate it. Again, thank you for the support, as always. Saying, guys, what will be the split between run pass? 55 to 45%? That's a good question. It's hard to say. Ron, maybe you can jump in here. I think they're going to use the short passing game at first. And if they can get a lead, then you're going to see that be more 50-50. But I think they're going to be a little bit more pass heavy to start out the game than we anticipate. So, but if they do get a lead and they grind it down with that 4-minute offense, for me, it's just like you think about why Peyton came here to turn it around, but they also turn around Wilson, right? And he's got some weapons that he's going to use. And one of them, one of my key players to watch, I'll tell you in a second, which may actually determine this percentage. But I just think he's got these weapons to use, and he might use them. And so he might be a little more passing than people think right away.
Yeah. And this is a good question, Phil. Thank you for coming in. I would say that's about accurate what you have, 55-45, maybe even closer to 50-50. The reason why I say that, Thomas, I see what you're saying in regards to this quick passing, which, yes, that's definitely going to be implemented. But I think to start off the season, and, we don't have, it's questionable that Jerry Jeudy is going to play, expect more running, to start off with some of those, those quick slants, those quick passes, the short passing game kind of, intertwined within. Now, when Jerry Jeudy does get back, it's going to open up, the offense where that passing is more prevalent, and you'll see that emphasized as well. But I would say to kind of, get everyone's feet wet, to kind of, break it open, I would say the running's going to be a little bit more emphasized. So Phil, that's a good percentage breakdown, maybe 55-45 more on the run side, at least to start.
Yeah. I'm going to give a shout out to Gary Palmer. Thank you so much for coming with the generous super chat. Thank you very much, Gary. And thank you for being here. We see you here all the time, so we really appreciate you being in the chat. He says, hey guys, in Broncos country, go Broncos and buck 'em. Yeah, absolutely, Gary. We're all excited. I think everybody's excited in Broncos country because it's a new era. It's a new day. Got a competent coach. Let's see what he can do with these players. So I'm going to jump onto that split between run and pass and talk about the guy that I think we need to watch and come tomorrow. And that's Adam Troutman. Mm-hmm. Nobody's expecting him, right? They didn't expect him to be the starter. They thought it was going to be the Dulcich show. Troutman just came in, caught everything, was all around tight end, and really impressed me when I was at camp. Nothing's flashy. He's not the speed demon. He's not out there catching 7 balls at the end of a preseason game. So people don't know about him. But the thing of it is, if you look back at the Raiders games all through the season last year, if a tight end who they were expecting came in, you could see that like Kelsey and whatever they focused on. But when it was a tight end, there are 3 of the 6 big kind of tight end yards were from kind of people that you didn't expect, right? You didn't expect these tight ends to like have these big yardage products. And I'm not saying they were huge. I mean, you got 57, you got 75, not spectacular, but it was all these like, where did this guy come from kind of thing. That might be Troutman. They may not be really game planning for him because he's kind of one of those like, oh, it's Adam Troutman. What he's not going to kill us like Kelsey does. But I think he might actually have a pretty solid game. And it's going to be a surprise to people when the stat sheet comes out and they're like, whoa, I didn't expect Troutman to have, and he's the guy I'm going to give a stat prediction towards the end of the show. So just hold on to that. But he's going to be one of those guys like, wow, he had a productive game. So I think they might pass a little bit more than expected, but I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see what Sean Payton actually rolls out on the field. I don't think anybody really knows what's going to happen yet. So it's going to be exciting.
Yes, it is. It is. And Troutman's a good one, Thomas. He's not on my players to watch, but just his impact, like how will he impact the game? I think he's one of those names that, again, a lot of people aren't really talking about. I think everyone kind of wants to know what Greg Dulcich is going to bring from the tight end position. I think everyone's, and Greg Dulcich is one of my players as well. I'll get into some stat projections, but I think Troutman's kind of somewhat forgotten about. But it's going to be interesting to see what he does and how Peyton uses him, blocking, catching passes, may even get a touchdown. So it'll be interesting to see. It's a good one.
Absolutely. All right. So I think we've done all of the matchups we want to talk about. Do you have any other players to watch that you want to highlight? I said Troutman and McGlinchey, so I kind of jumped ahead a little bit. What do you have for players to watch?
Yes, I believe I covered all my players to watch, but I'll just kind of summarize. So the players I had to watch: Samaje Perine. I did bring him up in regards to the short yardage goal line situations. Obviously, him and Pookie, with Pookie, I'm not sure they're going to slowly work him back in. You might see a little bit of a heavier workload from Samaje Perine. And again, his ability to block and how Peyton uses him situationally and as a pass catcher out of the backfield. So all those things combined is going to be interesting to see. Damari Mathis, you alluded to with the matchup with Jacoby Myers. How will he hold up? And again, I believe he will hold his own. And then Drew Sanders. Drew Sanders, we saw that interception in the preseason. Will that carry on into the regular season? How will Vance Joseph use him in a lot of those pressure package situations, coming in, blitzing, defending the tight end? So covering most of them. It's just going to be interesting to see these players. And I know another one that we did talk, Marvin Mims. That's another great pick. We're also looking for, he's notable mention on my list, but it'll be curious to see how they use him and, how he plays in his first NFL game. So.
Absolutely. And, Mims is a good, there was a question there and I can't find it. I'm sorry. Whoever put it in there was a good question asking if Judy's out, who's going to step up? And obviously Judy looks like he's probably going to be out this week because they brought up 2 practice squatters. And I wrote about this, how they were going to use that. I said they were going to bring up Philip Dorsett until they use up his time, and they're probably going to bring up Humphreys, maybe Stills in there, and then end up putting Humphrey eventually on the active roster is what I think. But at least this week, it looks like Judy's out. Mims, I think, is going to be the one to watch who steps up and takes the production that Judy probably would have had. And the reason, I know he's a rookie, but the reason I say he's so dynamic, he's a good route runner. He can fly. He's got the ability to get open. We saw it happen. He's got the mentality too, right? I loved that preseason game was that long. It should have been a touchdown. I don't think he was touched. Should have been a 75-yard touchdown, but it wasn't. It got called back to like 57. But what I really liked is, even though he was draped all over getting tackled to catch that ball, basically, he still went out and caught it. A lot of receivers will throw their hands up like, hey, where's my flag? Well, you're not always going to get the flag. He did on this one, but he still went out and caught the ball, got up and ran. And that's the kind of mentality I like to see. So I think Mims is going to kind of take over that Judy role in the meantime. And Brandon Johnson too. Don't forget, he had a great camp. He had a great camp. I like him too. So, but I think it's Mims is going to get a lot more work for a rookie than we really anticipated. So, but my other player to watch is Cortland Sutton. Obviously, he's the top dog.
Yeah.
Judy's out, but I love his ability to catch that 50-50 ball, especially in those quick passes. Throw it to him, have him go get it. I think he's someone to watch for this game, and then I think it'll be a little bit more of an even split going forward, maybe between Judy and Sutton. But I think Sutton's going to have the bigger year than Judy. I like Sutton this year. I like his mentality. I like his look. I like what he brought to camp. I think he's going to step up, and we're going to see kind of the Cortland Sutton pre-injury. So I'm predicting a bigger year for him, and I think it's going to come out. I think this game you're going to see a pretty big game from Cortland Sutton.
So bigger year for him, meaning more touchdowns or more yards than Judy?
More yards and touchdowns than Judy.
Okay.
I'm predicting that he's going to have a bigger year in both than Judy. I really liked, and the reason why I say when I'm watching him in camp, I saw the same mentality that I expected to see, before the injury, see him progress, jump into that. Okay, I'm a number one receiver. I'm getting 1,200 yards, that type of stuff. That's a mentality I saw. Obviously the game plan is going to dictate who gets the most passes, but if he's out there catching everything, coming his way, even the tough contested catches, Russell Wilson's going to trust him more and throw it to him. And the fact is, Judy's hurt. When does he come back? I don't know. So that's why I'm going with Sutton being the receiving leader.
Okay, good one.
Patrick Wiltsey's coming in saying, "Aloha, gents. Mims and Dulcich can have big days. Sutton, 1 or 2 big plays, I think. Then a decoy." Maybe you're right. It could be. It could very well be. I'm excited, Ron. I don't know if people understand how excited I am. I'm trying to keep my cool here, but I am excited to watch this game tomorrow. Man, I hope they can really throttle the Raiders for sure.
And Patrick, thank you for this. And one of my, I wouldn't say players to watch, but I have some projections for him. Greg Dulcich. I did predict that he'll have about 60, 70 yards, and he'll have a touchdown as well. I do think that Greg Dulcich will have a big game tomorrow. Again, I know Troutman will have an impact on the game, but I do expect Greg Dulcich to play well. So yeah, expect a touchdown from him. You mentioned Sutton, which is good. I don't know if Sutton will have any touchdowns tomorrow. I really do think Brandon Johnson or Mims will have the touchdown tomorrow. And you're right, right, Patrick. In regards to the decoy, that's kind of how I see Sutton kind of playing the field. But again, we'll see. We'll see. Like Thomas, I'm very excited to see what happens tomorrow. How Peyton deploys his offense. It's just going to be fun to watch, guys.
Yeah. Phil McLaughlin's coming. Facebook stars. Thank you for the support. Really appreciate it, Phil. His question is, who gets the first interceptions, Simmons or PS2? And I'm going to go with somebody different. I'm telling you, Simmons is going to be the interception leader for the year.
Okay.
He's going to have, I think he might even be leading the NFL this year if he can stay healthy. First interception goes to Damari Mathis.
Nice.
What do you think, Ron?
Yeah. So in my roundtable article, I did have Simmons and PS2 getting an interception each. Again, go check it out on myhuddle.com. I would say, Phil, the first interception, Simmons. I think I have Simmons because I think PS2 may have scared Garoppolo from last year's matchup a bit. And I think that's going to carry on to that first game where you probably won't see Garoppolo try to go Adams' way too much, at least to start. But Garoppolo can go in the middle. He likes to throw in the middle of the field. So, of course, that's kind of where Simmons resides. And I do see Simmons coming down with the pick first.
All right. Well, we will be watching closely. I'm going to be writing up the risers and the who's good, who's bad after the game. So I'm going to be taking notes, but we'll see. We will check it out. I will be interested. I hope I'm right. But you know what? Any interception to me, I don't care. They need to pick that ball off and take it back. Austin H. I just had to bring this up. Thanks, Austin, for being here. It says the best day for football for me is watching week 1. The most funny is the day after when all the media does is overreact. It's so true. Like you hit the nail on the head. I've been saying this, we will see what they're made of, tomorrow with the new coaching, but we can't overreact. There's a lot of teams that win September, but the real teams win in December, November. That's when you see the cream really rise to the top. But we will see kind of the makeup of this team. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to the offense, the total offense hasn't been fully together. So there's going to be definitely some mistakes out there, but we're going to see how they react mentally to those mistakes. And we'll see if there's dumb mistakes. I don't anticipate dumb mistakes like last year. I mean, all the pre-snap penalties, the dumb, unnecessary roughness type things, unsportsmanlike conduct. I don't think we're going to see that. We're going to see some mistakes, but hopefully not too many. And hopefully we'll see a more efficiently run offense. And, obviously Peyton's light years ahead on clock management and all that. So we will see the mental makeup, hopefully, of this team. But you're right. We're not going to see the true teams really until November comes around, because a lot of teams win September and then don't do anything after. But
yes,
the Broncos do have to get this win to stay ahead of the Chiefs, because the Chiefs, even though they lost, they're still a good team. You got to take advantage of these chances when you have it. So the Broncos need to come away with a win.
Yes. Well said, Thomas. And, just to add on, I want to see this first game will let me know where the Broncos stand in regards to, aggression. I want to see an aggressive team, because again, that sets the tone for the rest of the season. I want to see the Broncos up front on the offensive line dominate. Want to see these running lanes be open. I want to see clutch plays where the ball is being turned over. Again, these are, aggressive type plays that result in winning seasons. And of course, that extends into the playoffs. So you're right. I don't expect a flawless game at all. But I do expect, with the coaching in place, solid execution. There's always going to be room for improvement to clean things up. But if we can get aggressive and solid executed football from this first game, I think that'll carry on into the remaining games and hopefully set us up for playoff success.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I've said this a bunch of times, Ron. You've heard me. I don't know how many times I can say it. For me, Vance Joseph is another key. And I keep saying this. I don't care if he's top 5 in statistics. What I care about is his defense comes through when it matters. If he can set up the defense to come through when it matters most and get that stop or that interception when they need it before that other team drives down the field, that to me will be a successful defensive coordinator. He can be 10th, 12th, 15th in stats. I don't care. As long as he makes that stop when it matters. I would like it to be better. I'd like a stifling defense, but we have not seen that. That's been the problem from the defense. We have not seen them step up when it matters most. The other team ends up driving down, getting that win. That's what from Vance Joseph, I want to say, I know Peyton can coach. I want to see Vance Joseph take that next step where he is putting his players in position to succeed when it matters most. That's what I'm looking for. And I think under Peyton's tutelage, I think he can start to grow into that role. But hopefully they won't need it tomorrow. Hopefully it's a blowout.
Yes, definitely.
All right, let's make some predictions here, Ron. If you want, let's make some stats predictions. You got one for us?
Yes. So yes, one stat prediction I have, the fan favorite with a touchdown, and that's Jaleel McLaughlin.
All right.
So Jaleel, I wouldn't say it's the first touchdown, but I will say that he will score a touchdown, and I have him at about maybe about 35 to 40 yards rushing, because we know that P. Ryan and Pookie are going to get most of the workload. But, I do expect Jaleel McLaughlin to come in certain situations and rack up some yards. But I do expect with his quickness, Thomas, and his explosiveness, he's going to see the end zone. So I do have at least one touchdown for him. And then Brandon Johnson, I have, depending on if Judy does play or if he doesn't play, I'm expecting that Judy will not play. Obviously, as we mentioned, right, that 2 of the players they got from the practice squad they promoted. So, if Judy does not play, I have Brandon Johnson going for about 60 yards receiving. Just being efficient. Not scoring, but having a 60 yards. And as I mentioned with Dulcich, 70 yards and a touchdown as well.
All right. I'll tell you, I'm on the Cortland Sutton bandwagon, right? Okay. So I'm going to give you guys, and everyone's going to probably ridicule me for this, but I'm going with 8 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown for Sutton. He's going to have a big game. I have this feeling, right? It was like my feeling about Palczewski back in March or May when I said he's going to make the team. I have a gut feeling on it. I have this gut feeling that Sutton is going to perform this year to a high level, and it starts out with this game. And I know that everybody's looking forward to the running game. You're going to be an emphasis on that, but I still think Sutton's going to step up because he's got that mentality again. He's got that mentality that I saw back in 2019 when he was a youngster out just starting out, right? He had that mentality. I feel like it's back, right? From what I've seen. So for me, it's Sutton's going to have a big day. I think Javonte Williams is going to have a quiet day. It's not going to be huge. It's not going to be bad. I think I see Javonte Williams running for 15 carries for 60 yards, maybe a touchdown if they get down there and he runs it in. Only because they're going to kind of ease him back. It's nothing against Javonte. I think the Raiders have a stout run defense they did last year. I think he's going to run hard, have a nice run or two, but they're going to put Pirine in there a little bit more than expected. So he's going to have an efficient day, but not a big day. And then my final one, I already talked about Adam Troutman. He's going to surprise people with a nice, 5 catch, maybe 45 yard game, which isn't huge. It's not a big tight end day or anything, but it's an efficient day. And that's exactly what I'm looking for from him. Troutman to have an efficient day, catching the ball. Hopefully he'll catch a touchdown. That's 2 TDs receiving as opposed to, I think everybody thinking about rushing TDs. But I think Troutman's going to have a better day than people expect because I really think Russell Wilson trusts him to catch that ball. And I know that Dulcich he's the flashy one, but I think Troutman is a reliable pass catcher and he can get open. He can get open. I saw it in camp. He can get open. So those are my 3 projections. Nice. Did you have another one?
Nice. No. I think I've handled all of the projections here, but no, that's good. Again, Sutton. Yeah, I'm just. Again, I think some comments were in here in regards to the decoy, how Sutton, I think they may use him as decoy, which that's kind of what I'm leaning more toward. I really think Peyton's probably going to, again, Sutton's going to come and get his yards and get his catches. But I honestly think this is going to be a good game for Mims and Dulcich. I have this feeling where, the second year guy and the rookie are going to, they're going to show the world who they are. So,
all right. Right. And this is a great, it's like the chicken or the egg. US Dave's coming. Thomas, the run sets up the pass or the pass sets up the run. Yeah, that's the thing, man. You have to do both. You have to be able to do both. That's the thing. I think they're going to be able to do both, but after looking at and again, it's a new year. So I can't put the stamp on it. If we were 6 games into the season and I was seeing this, I'd be like, absolutely. It's short passing game is going to be working. They're going to be doing it. And this was last year, end of the year last year that I saw this. They're vulnerable in the short passing game. If I can see it, Sean Payton's certainly going to see it, right? If they're more stout against the run and not stout against the short passing game, I mean, he's forgotten more about football than I'll ever know. So if I saw it, he should be able to see it. That's why I'm going with it. But again, it's a new year. There's new players. There's, so I can't, I'm not going to put put it in ink. It's more in pencil so far, but we'll give it some time. And then those, when I dig into those numbers a little bit, they'll be a little bit better, but you're going to have to definitely do both for sure. So I'm just going to hit a couple things. We talked about Judy. He's probably not going to be on the field, probably still suffering from the hamstring injury. Riley Moss is questionable. He's probably not going to play either. They have stacked that secondary kind of waiting for him to come back. So he's probably going to be an inactive. Surtain, obviously we said that he popped up on the injury report on Friday. Apparently he's ready to go. He says he's ready to go. It doesn't look like anything. And then Manhurts was also injured, but he's full participant. He's ready to go. So it's really not a lot of injuries yet, which what we're hoping for early in the season. Not a lot of injuries to start the season, but there were a few, and two of them were important. Surtain and Judy. I mean, holy mackerel, those guys are important, but it looks like Surtain's going to be able to go. So that's good. And they called up, I think I said this, they called up Dorsett and Lil Jordan Humphrey. They're going to be out there. And that's the nice thing about the practice squad this year, right? And last year they changed those rules so that you can call them up on game day. They don't affect the 53-man roster. They affect the inactives, and then they just go right back down to the practice squad. So you're going to see that happen quite a number of times early in the season with these wide receivers. Yep. And all right, Ron, this is it. We got 10 minutes left. I'm going to check for some more comments. We can hit those, but give me game prediction.
Yes. So the prediction for the Broncos home opener, it's going to be a great game. I do see on the defensive side where Vance Joseph is going to have a plan and coach this defense to contain Josh Jacobs as much as they can. So I do see Josh Jacobs under 100 yards. And I mentioned that early in the show, Patrick Surtain and Justin Simmons will have a pick apiece. So with that in mind, with the run game, you mentioned, Thomas, the short passing game. And to that comment earlier, I think in these situations, I think it was US Dave that put in that question. I think it's going to be the pass that sets up the run. I think it's going to be those quick passes out to set up those short yardage, those goal line, those short down situations. So with that in mind, guys, I do predict a Broncos victory. It's going to be, kind of it probably will start off a little slow at first, but I think, the Broncos are going to open this game wide open. So final score, Broncos 31, Raiders 17.
31-17. All right. That's a high score. Something we didn't see last year very much of for sure. I just want to give before I give my prediction, I just want to give a shout out to Michael coming in for the support with Facebook Stars again, saying great show tonight, Thomas and Ron on Orange and Blue View, go Broncos and Buckham. He's also calling a shot with Javonte Williams, saying Javonte is going to have 100-yard rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns. I hope you're right. I love Javonte, Ron and Michael. I when I saw him the first time I saw him, I said that guy's going to be a fan favorite. People are going to love him, and they did because he just runs so hard. I just don't know if they're going to ride him all the way to hard this first game because he's coming back, right? He's coming back from injury. So, but man, if he gets 100 yards and 2 TDs, that the Broncos are going to blow out the Raiders. If Javonte Williams is doing that, I really think that the combination of that in the passing game, they're gonna clobber him. So I hope he's right.
And before you go, Thomas, on your prediction, and Michael, thank you for coming in again. I do see that eventually happening with Javonte Williams. He's going to have, once he really hits his stride and they work him back in the full time, he'll have multiple games, probably, if not 100 yards rushing, close to it, multiple touchdowns. But also, Thomas, with Pookie, just watching him, like how hard he runs and how he's able to break tackles. Like those 2 games, I believe it was his first year, his rookie year, where I think it was against, was it the Dallas Cowboys and the Ravens, I believe? Like he just broke, and I think in the Ravens game, he carried those defenders with him. And then I think the Cowboys game, he just broke out of those tackles. So just that elusiveness, that explosion, just having that back on the field is just going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and the fun part for me too was to watch Quinn Miners out there pushing the pile with him. Like it was so fun. I loved watching that. I just wish they could, stay together for a long time, win some games. That's what I'm hoping for. But we got Orange Bucky coming in talking about Caden Stearns. What about Caden Stearns? Give him a watch alert. I like what Caden Stearns does. I know he's the co-starter, but he's the starter, right? He seems better than K-Jack to me. and he's the starter. You very well may see him get the first interception. That is true. Caden Stearns is opportunistic, so good shout out. And then I'm also going to grab Tim Durr. He's giving a prediction for Russell Wilson, 32 for 40 for 350 yards. Tim Durr calling his shot with Russell Wilson. All right, my prediction for the game, it's going to be a little bit closer than people think. It's there's going to be some mistakes starting out. It's going to take a little while to get the offense rolling. I think the Broncos are going to take it 23-17, but I think that close score is really kind of closer to the end. I think the Broncos defense hopefully is going to step up and handle them really well, and you're going to see the Broncos kind of get out to a bit of a lead, and then you'll watch the Raiders kind of come back a little bit, but too late. But it's going to be closer than people think because, like I said, it's the first game of the year, right? The offense hasn't played all together completely. They're without Jerry Jeudy. The offensive line is going to take a little while to really gel. So I think it's going to be a little bit closer. Greg Smith's similar to what I just said, saying 24-13. But, I'll take a blowout. It's, any day of the week. I want to be able to sit back and just to enjoy it, just watch the score roll up. So,
yes.
And Michael Davis coming and saying it's a good prediction, Tom. So thank you very much for shouting that out. All right. I think we've covered everything that we want to cover on these pre-games, Ron. We went through some matchups, key players to watch, talked a little bit about scheme, not too much. We're going to get into probably more scheme once we start to see these teams in action, be able to watch some film on the All-22. So right now we're just kind of looking back last year and, kind of making some assumptions about what the team's going to bring this year. So hopefully we're going to be able to bring that to you as well as we go into these pre-game shows. We're going to do a lot of them. There's only going to be one Thursday night game and, a handful of maybe, who knows how, I can't remember how many Monday night games, but we're going to get the bulk of them. So stay tuned. And also, if there's something else you want to hear from us, right? There's something there's burning questions that want to be answered. Let us know. Shoot Ron or I a DM on Twitter if you want, or hit us up on Twitter at Thomas Hall NFL or Ron White NFL. Give us some feedback. Because we want to improve this. We're here for you guys. We want to talk about what you want to hear, and hopefully we're doing that. So, give us a shout if you want to hear something else. And at the same time, make sure you're going to the other shows too, because, yesterday there was key matchups but with Dub Valley Deep Divers. I think that the Mile High Huddle podcast crew with Chad and Zach probably be doing a post game. I'm not sure if they're going to do anything prior to the game or not, but check those out. And then, of course, the other shows. I've got one on Wednesday night with Luke Patterson, and then my Legends of Mile High. We got them all. We got you covered with anything, all sorts of perspectives. So, any last words, Ron?
Yes, and again, check out the content, guys, on milehighhuddle.com. There's articles from all of us with, of course, not only breaking news, but key matchups, as we mentioned. We have the injury report out there, some of the tidbits. So yeah, check that out. Check out the merch store as well. And yeah, just looking forward to the first game of the season for the Broncos. We expect a victory, but let's see what happens tomorrow.
Absolutely. So we got Dylan coming in, reminding everybody to make sure you share the pod on all platforms. Hit that like button on the way out. Absolutely. A little bit goes a long ways. Thank you very much. We're going to grab Jason O'Neill saying, rock solid show, Thomas and Ron. Enjoy the game tomorrow. And Buckham, you do as well, right? You do the same thing. We've got Orange Bucky coming in. You guys make Broncos news fun. Well, thank you for that. I hope that we do. So we really appreciate all the support that everybody's given us. We appreciate everyone coming in to watch us. I know it's Saturday night. It's hard to get in here, watch this, but this is the show that I've been waiting for, Ron. Yes. And we've talked about, I've been waiting to do these pre-games, because I used to watch the pre-game shows as a kid, on CBS and, and all those shows. I got to the point where I stopped watching them because they're just giggling at each other and, it's all high level. I wanted us to dig in. So make sure that you jump in there. Thanks, Pearl Heater. Thanks, Greg, for coming in, talking about the podcasts and everybody else. We really, it's hard to get all the comments. Like I said, it's hard to get all the comments, but thank you very much for your support, for being here on Saturday. And I don't know what else to say, Ron. Close this out.
Yes. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. And we look forward, everyone's looking forward to a great game, and enjoy the game tomorrow. And, go Broncos.
And goodbye from your Broncos pregame team. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.